Exposed, the hidden truth behind their "I can't afford it" heartwarming wedding revelation. In the quaint town of Maplewood, where the scent of freshly baked pies and coffee wafted through the air like a comforting embrace, Sarah felt the weight of dreams pressing down on her. Despite working long shifts as a waitress, scraping every cent together for her wedding to James, a hard-working mechanic with hands like leather but a heart of gold, her excitement was often overshadowed by the constant, draining echo of "I can't afford it." Each word felt like a steel shackle around her spirit, tightening every time she envisioned walking down the aisle. As she stowed away tips in a mason jar hidden beneath her bed, Sarah's chest tightened with the pangs of inadequacy. Every dollar felt hard-earned and lacking in glitz when layered against the shining dreams she nurtured. For years, Sarah had imagined a modest yet beautiful ceremony that would blossom with love, but the reality of her financial situation kept those visions at bay. There was no family money to lean on, not with her estranged father's shadow lurking in the background, a hollow shell of the man he once was. Then, in the dusty attic where family memories stirred with layers of dust, her grandmother unearthed a wedding dress. Its delicate fabric whispered tales of enduring love and resilience. As the dress hung before her, Sarah's heart fluttered. The history woven into every stitch reminded her of the strength inherited from generations of women who had faced their own storms. Perhaps her future wasn't as bleak as it seemed. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the wedding day drew closer, something unexpected happened. The townsfolk learned of Sarah's struggles. Whispers turned into action, and one by one, neighbors began offering their talents. The local garden club promised flowers that could rival a royal bouquet, and a friend stepped up to be their DJ for the night. The warmth of community embraced her like the spring sun chasing away winter's chill. Sarah was overwhelmed, tears stinging her eyes as she saw how much love surrounded her. But just when life seemed to swell with the promise of joy, conflict nagged at her heart. News of her father's return broke like a summer storm, bringing with it the undeniable tension of unresolved feelings. Could she forgive someone who had walked away so easily? Would his presence cast a shadow on what should be the happiest day of her life?
The day arrived, and Sarah stood in front of the mirror, the vintage dress enveloping her in history and hope. Her heart raced like a freight train as she pictured James waiting for her at the altar, love shining in his eyes. But amidst the excitement, a text lit up her phone, sending icy tendrils of dread twisting through her. A photo of her father stumbling outside the diner, the very diner where laughter should fill the air. The weight of the moment pressed down, leaving her breathless. As she stood on the precipice of forever, she couldn't shake the haunting question. Could she truly embrace her future when the echoes of her past screamed for resolution? Standing there in the mirror, Sarah felt the fabric of her grandmother's dress cling to her as if it could absorb her fears and doubts. The sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the delicate lace, transforming it into a beacon of hope. But as she grabbed her phone, the image of her father loomed larger than everything else. He looked lost, a ghost of the man who had once helped raise her. With every shaky breath, she thought about what it meant to let him back into her life, especially on a day meant entirely for joy. She could almost hear James's voice, warm and reassuring. "Don't let your past steal your future, Sarah." Yet the words felt lighter than the weight of reality. She glanced around her small bedroom, which had been transformed into a makeshift bridal suite. Pictures lined the walls, snapshots of laughter, love, and memories. Friends had chipped in to help her prepare, bringing bouquets and baked goods that filled the space with smiles and the sense of sweet celebration. But that one image on her phone felt like a dark cloud threatening to rain on her parade. James knocked softly at the door, his voice breaking through her spiral of thoughts. "Hey, you okay in there?" His genuine concern lit a flicker of warmth inside her. "Yeah, just a second." Taking a deep breath, she clicked the photo away and put on a brave smile. This day was not just about her. It was about their love, their journey, and the promise of a shared future. She wanted to walk down that aisle with clarity in her heart, not the murky waters of unresolved emotions. When she stepped out of the room, the scene before her took her breath away. Friends were bustling about, adjusting flowers and setting up chairs in her backyard, their little slice of Maplewood, where every corner held memories worth celebrating. James caught her eye from the lawn, dressed in a simple suit, his face lighting up brighter than the sun itself. "Wow," he breathed. "You look incredible." It wasn't the praise that brought the tears to her eyes. It was the love in his gaze. In that moment, she knew she could lean on James, lean on the community around her. They had built something strong together, and maybe those ties could withstand the fractures of the past.
Yet, as the minutes ticked closer to the ceremony, her phone buzzed with another message, a single-word text from her father. "Please." The weight of the plea pulled in her gut, a reminder of all the hurt that had festered over the years. Would she give him a chance to explain himself? Would she risk the perfect day by inviting chaos back into her life? As the music began to play, Sarah felt the pull of conflicting emotions. She could see her friends' happy faces and the colors of the flowers surrounding her, but in the back of her mind, her father's presence loomed larger than any centerpiece. What should have been a day for celebration was marred by questions of forgiveness and acceptance. Taking one last look at James, who beamed with pride and love, Sarah took a step towards him, but her heart still felt heavy with uncertainty. Could she really choose love over hurt? Would she turn her back on the man who had hurt her, or would she find the strength to mend their broken bond, even on the day that was meant to solidify new beginnings? As she walked toward James, her heart pounded louder than the music, wrestling with the possibility of a confrontation after all she had dreamed of. In that moment, amidst the excitement and beauty of everything she had worked for, a choice loomed ahead of her. What would she decide? Just as Sarah stepped towards James, a flicker of doubt caught her in its grasp. She paused, uncertainty making her hesitate. The music surrounded her, filling every corner of the yard with a heartbeat of its own, yet the only sound that rang in her ears was that single word from her father. "Please." Her fingers trembled around the phone tucked in her dress's pocket. What did that one word mean? Did it scream for forgiveness, or was it a desperate grasp for connection? "Sarah!" The joyful voice of a childhood friend broke through her thoughts. Amy rushed up with a bouquet in hand, all smiles and excitement. "You look phenomenal. Are you ready?" Caught in the moment, Sarah plastered on her smile. "Yeah, I'm ready." Yet as Amy joined her side, Sarah's heart raced with a different kind of anticipation. "Can I just say you are going to blow everyone away?" "I hope so," Sarah managed. She stole a glance across the yard. Friends and family were gathering, their faces lit with joy. Each smiling face served as a reminder of what mattered most in her life. Amy linked her arm with Sarah, pulling her toward the aisle. "Come on, it's time. You can't back out now." But the pull of her father's text felt as heavy as lead. What if he showed up? What would she say to a man she had tried so hard to forget? "Hey, are you with me?" Amy's voice was bright, yet tinged with concern. "Just give me a moment." Her heart pounded, locking eyes with James a few feet away. He stood tall, his eyes shining with love and warmth, a lighthouse in her sea of turmoil. Could that love anchor her when the waves of the past threatened to pull her under? "Take a deep breath, Sarah." Amy's voice was soft now. "Remember, this day is about you and James. It's about your future." Gathering her resolve, Sarah nodded. "You're right." And then the decision formed in her mind. Let's do this. As they prepared to walk down the aisle, the music shifted, soft and melodic. With every step, the weight lightened. She felt the love around her, friends, laughter, and the promise of what lay ahead with James. "I've waited a long time for this moment," James whispered as she approached him, his gaze unwavering. "Me too," she replied, her voice stronger now, filled with a new conviction. The officiant smiled at them, welcoming everyone with a warmth that enveloped Sarah. She began to lose herself in the beauty of the moment, leaning into the loving presence of her friends and family. As they exchanged vows, laughter erupted at little inside jokes shared between them, moments that had shaped their journey. Yet, in the back of her mind, the unanswered questions nagged. Would her dad really come? Did he want to be part of this day of her life again? The ceremony transitioned to the reception, filled with dancing and merriment. Sarah and James took the floor, lost in each other's arms. Everything felt perfect, until a sudden presence cut through the air like a knife. In the crowd, there he stood, her father, the man who had caused her so much heartache. Her breath caught. The music faded into a dull roar, and the world shrank to just the two of them. What was she supposed to do now? Would she confront him, or would she let the moment pass like a shadow in the night? Sarah's heart raced as she met his gaze, filled with so many mixed emotions. This was the moment she had prepared for,
but it wasn't the kind of clarity she had dreamed of. Would she choose to confront the past, or could she hold on to the joy of the present? Time seemed to stretch, every second heavy with possibility. Sarah stood frozen, caught between the warmth of James's embrace and the chill of her father's unexpected arrival. She could feel the strength of James's hands on her back, anchoring her as her heart did somersaults in her chest. Her father's eyes scanned the crowd, searching until they locked onto hers. His expression was unreadable, a mix of regret and hope that sent a ripple of confusion through her. As the laughter and chatter around her faded, the world narrowed to the two of them. "Sarah." His voice broke through the fog, barely audible, yet it wrapped around her like a whisper. She flinched. The familiar sound churned years of anger and sadness within her, reverberating against the wall she'd built to keep him out. James noticed the shift in her body, the way her shoulders tensed. "Are you okay?" he asked softly, concern coating his words. He must have felt her hesitation. Just give me a second."
Her voice was shaky, a fragile thread hanging between her and the moment she had envisioned. She couldn't shake the feeling that confronting him could shatter the bliss of her wedding day. But then again, could she really move forward without addressing the past? Without thinking, her feet began to move, driven by something deep within her. She stepped away from James, her heartbeat echoing in her ears, and edged closer to her father. Each step was heavier than the last, the weight of so many unresolved emotions creeping up. "Dad?" Her voice was firm despite the tremor coursing through her body. He looked smaller up close, vulnerable in a way she had never seen. It shook her, making her yearn for the father she once knew, the one who used to hold her hand as they walked down the street, laughing together without a care in the world. "I came because," he began, struggling with his words, as if they fought against a lifetime of regret. "I'm proud of you, Sarah. I'm so sorry for everything." Her heart crumbled at his admission, but bitterness fought hard to stay in control. Why now? The question hung in the air, heavy and unbearable. "I want to be part of your life again," he admitted, his voice cracking. "I know I don't deserve any hope you might have for me, but I'm asking, please." Sarah's breath caught. Did she dare let herself explore the path of forgiveness on a day meant for celebration? She glanced back at James, who watched her with concern, his steady gaze anchoring her. "But what do you want?" She forced the question out, her heart pounding with fear. "Why not before?" His eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I was scared. I was selfish. I thought distancing myself would be best for you, but I was wrong." The music swelled behind her, vibrant and bright, while inside she felt an uneasy mix of anger and understanding twining together like vines. How could she ever reconcile the anger she felt with the longing to have a family again? "Dad, this isn't about just you," she said, composing herself, finding her voice among the swirl of emotions. "I'm starting a new life with James. Don't you understand how much that means to me? Please, give me a chance to explain, to try and make it right." His voice trembled as he took a tentative step closer. What was she supposed to do? Turn away and ignore the past that knocked so fiercely at her door, or open it softly, willing to see if there was something left worth salvaging? As her pulse quickened, she looked between her father and James, who stood patiently behind her, a steady anchor amidst the storm. In that moment, Sarah realized she had a choice. Maybe I can't decide everything right now," she said softly, words coming through a haze of layered emotion. "But I need to think. I want to feel whole before I can face what's broken." Just then, the music shifted again, joyous and light, pulling everyone back into the celebration. But Sarah remained lost in her thoughts. The tension in the air hung heavily between them. Would she let her father back into her life, or would she ultimately protect the sacred new world she had built with James? As the laughter and joy swirled around her, Sarah's heart raced with uncertainty. How could she find peace in a moment like this? And what would the future hold if she did choose to step into the unknown? As Sarah stood face to face with her father, the air buzzed with a tension that felt almost unbearable. The music echoed around them, a stark contrast to the chaos swirling within her. James remained a few steps behind, a silent testimony to all she had built, supportive, yet distant, aware of her struggle. Please, Sarah, her father urged, his voice a mixture of desperation and longing. Just hear me out. I know I've hurt you. I know I've missed so much, but I want to make it right. I want to be here for you, just like I was before. Tears stung Sarah's eyes. The memory of their past tugged at her heart. She could envision family trips, winter nights full of laughter, a father who promised to always be there, before everything changed. But those memories felt tainted now, overshadowed by years of neglect and pain. Do you really think you can just pick up where you left off? She challenged, taking a small step back, needing space to breathe. I'm not the little girl who needs protecting. I have my life now. I can't just forget what you've done. Her voice wavered, straddling anger and heartache. Her father opened his mouth to speak, but the words faltered at the edge of his lips. Instead, he reached out, hands trembling slightly, as if he feared he would shatter if she pulled away completely. I know you're hurt. I caused this distance, but I promise I've changed. I'm here now, ready to listen, ready to be the father you deserve. The sincerity in his eyes pierced through her defenses. How could he say that after years of silence? The urge to forgive warred with the memories of every broken promise. James shifted behind her, his presence a comforting shield, yet she felt his uncertainty radiate through the space between them. Sarah, I know this is hard, he said gently, as if sensing the turmoil raging inside her. The concern etched on his face reminded her how much she had built with him. Every moment shared, every laugh, every dream they had whispered to one another came flooding back. But now, this moment threatened to raze it to the ground. I can't be the focal point of your healing, she whispered to her father, her heart breaking. You have to understand, this day is about starting anew, for me, with James. But it should also be about family. His voice cracked, desperation leaking through. Tears slipped from Sarah's eyes, catching the vibrant lights overhead. Perhaps that family can include you one day, but not like this, on my wedding day. Can't you see how unfair this is?
The smile that had danced on her lips earlier threatened to falter completely. Everything felt wrong, and the joy dimmed as doubts replaced it. I know, he said softly, his own eyes glistening with pain. I'm not asking for everything at once, just a chance. One moment where we can speak, where I can show you I'm still your dad, somewhere beneath everything. A soft murmur from the crowd broke her concentration. They were here, celebrating love. Was it selfish of her to let this moment be consumed by her chaotic past? Sarah, James called softly, pulling her focus back to him. His eyes locked onto hers. You have the right to make this decision. I'm here for you, no matter what you choose. His support made her heart ache and swell all at once. She had spent so many years putting on a brave face, but now, here it was, slipping away. Dad, what if I can't forgive you? What if I don't know how to go back? Then we'll take it one step at a time, he said, with a hint of warmth in his trembling smile. I'm willing to wait for as long as it takes. I just need the chance to try. As Sarah looked between her father and James, the weight of her choices loomed large. She felt the eyes of her friends and family around her, all expectant and hopeful. Could she really open herself up to this? Should she risk everything that brought her joy for the faint hope of a new connection? In that fraught moment, Sarah felt as if her life stood on the precipice. Would she allow the past to resurface, risking her new love with James for a fractured relationship? And in the silence that followed, punctuated by the music of her wedding celebration, she heard the faint echo of a future that could either bloom or fade away. What was she willing to risk for healing, and would it come at a cost she could bear? As the dance floor swirled with color and life, Sarah felt suspended in time, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm that echoed through the festive atmosphere. The clamor of laughter and chatter surrounded her, but it felt miles away. All she could see were her father's pleading eyes and James's steady gaze,
a blend of unwavering support and unspoken worry. "You know, there's no right answer here," James said, breaking the spell. His voice cut through the noise, offering a lifeline. "You don't have to decide everything right now. Let's just think about it." But his soft words stung, reminding her of her mounting anxiety. The joy of the day seemed to dissolve, replaced with uncertainty. She stepped back, nervously glancing toward the bright, twinkling lights overhead, wondering how they could still hold so much magic while her world felt so heavy. "Maybe you're right," she murmured, her voice barely rising above the music. She swiped at her damp cheeks, feeling the conflict inside her grow. "But it's my wedding day. It should be about celebration, not this emotional warfare." Her father took a tentative step forward, his hands shaking.
"I didn't mean to ruin your day. I didn't want to miss the chance to talk to you." Taking a deep breath, she glanced at James, searching his face for reassurance. What if this is too much? What if I make the wrong choice?" James stepped closer, placing a comforting hand on her arm. "There's no wrong choice, only what feels right for you. Just trust yourself." But how could she ensure she was making the right decision when her heart felt so split? Her father's voice slipped back into her mind. "I'm still your dad, Sarah." The longing in his voice was intoxicating, but it was laced with an undeniable fear of betrayal to the life she had built with James. "Please, Dad," she finally said, her voice cracking. I need some space. I can't carry all of this today." The ache of her words felt like a weight she had lifted from her chest. The disappointment that washed over her father's face nearly broke her. His eyes shone with unshed tears, mirroring the internal storm brewing within her. "I understand," he whispered tightly, and the cracks in his facade showed the weight he had carried all these years. "Just know that I'm here, whenever you're ready." With that, Sarah turned back to the dance floor as sobering clarity washed over her. She was caught in an emotional maelstrom, and she wasn't sure where the calm would come from. The sights and sounds blurred as she shoved her way through the crowd, seeking refuge under a beautiful white canopy that flanked the edge of the reception area. James followed closely, worry etched into his face. "Hey, are you okay?" He reached for her, his fingers brushing against hers. That one touch sent a wave of comfort washing over her, grounding her in the chaos. "No, not really," she sighed, feeling utterly exhausted. In that moment, she could feel the immensity of her father's desires, layered against her own need for healing and joy with James. "I thought today would be easy. I thought I'd just be happy. But it feels like I'm being pulled in two different directions." James leaned in, concerned, painting his features. "You're allowed to feel everything. This is your moment. It's supposed to be beautiful. But the beauty doesn't come without its shadows." "Shadows, or ghosts," she said quietly. The words were heavy, revealing her deepest fears. "What if I'm always haunted by this? What if I can't get past it? I don't want my past to define my future." His expression softened, and he lifted her chin gently with a finger. "You're the one in charge of your story, Sarah. You don't have to let him control it. You get to decide how much he's in it, or if he's in it at all." Her heart fluttered with the power of his words. James was right. She could navigate this chaos. She could define her future without the lingering weight of her past dragging her down.
Suddenly, the bright laughter from the crowd felt more inviting, even as the real thunderstorm brewed inside her, a storm of choices and consequences. But with the tension rising, she sensed a deeper thunder rumbling anew. There was more at stake than just her relationship with her father. She could feel the ripple effects of decisions waiting to unfold, and she wasn't sure how far they reached. As dawn approached, bringing clarity before the storm, she couldn't quell the doubt that twisted in her heart. With everything on the line, was she ready to rewrite her story altogether? The answer felt just out of reach, shrouded in uncertainty. Would she dare to face the truth, no matter the consequences? As she held on to that thought, a new kind of resolve began to bloom within her, fragile yet hopeful. The canopy loomed over Sarah like a protective bubble, but its translucent fabric only added to the swirling thoughts in her head. She leaned against a nearby table, feeling the coarse texture of the wood beneath her fingertips. It grounded her amidst the chaos, but she could feel the pressure of uncertainty pushing down on her chest.
James stepped in closer, his presence a calming force. "You don't have to carry this alone, you know that, right?" His soft, steady voice wrapped around her like a warm blanket. "Sometimes it feels like I have to," Sarah admitted, the weight of expectation pressing like a physical entity. "My whole life I've been trying to make everyone happy. But now—" She trailed off, glancing back towards the dance floor where laughter soared like music notes fluttering around them. James took a deep breath, his expression serious. "But what do you want? What do you crave in this moment?" His question hung between them, demanding an answer. She hesitated, her thoughts racing. "I want to feel whole. I want to celebrate my love for you without the past creeping in." The words spilled out with urgency, fueled by pent-up emotion. His gaze softened. "Then let's make this your moment. Own it. Your past doesn't get to write your future, but you have to decide what that future looks like." Sarah's heart raced as she attempted to process his words. Could she truly forge her own path? It felt daunting, like jumping off a cliff without knowing if there would be water or ground below. But the desire to leap was growing stronger. She swallowed hard, searching for the right words. What if I confront my dad? What if I tell him my truth? The thought sent a shiver down her spine, but there was also an undeniable exhilaration. James nodded slowly. "That's a brave choice. It could change everything." His eyes sparkled with admiration, and for a moment, Sarah felt a tinge of hope surge in her chest. "Who knows? Maybe it's the only way I can untangle these feelings." Stepping back, she ran her fingers through her hair, contemplating the enormity of that decision. "But what if it backfires?" "Then you'll know, and you'll be stronger for it."
There's power in honesty. As she stood there, the swirling music around them transformed from chaos to a comforting rhythm. A deeper understanding began to wash over her. She would write the next chapter, and it would start with confronting her father, not to accuse, but to vent the pain that had long been hidden. But just then, as excitement flared within her, her father's silhouette emerged from the crowd. He seemed smaller now, like a man burdened, not by the weight of power, but by the weight of disappointment. Her heart dropped as their eyes met, the unresolved tension palpable. In that moment, nothing else mattered. She felt the air thicken with possibility, the chance to break free from the chains that had bound her for so long. "Sarah," he called, his voice wavering. Feeling a rush of adrenaline, she took a step forward, her palms sweaty, but her resolve firm. James positioned himself behind her, a steady anchor as uncertainty swirled. "Dad," she began, her voice steady, despite the knot in her stomach. She would speak her truth, and no amount of fear would stop her now. But just as she gathered her thoughts, a sudden crash echoed from the food table nearby, jolting everyone's attention. "What was that?" someone shouted, rising panic rippling through the crowd. Sarah's heart raced. Whatever she felt ready to say took a back seat as chaos erupted around her. Her father's eyes flashed with worry, and in that instant, the moment shifted. She felt the burden of her unspoken emotions rush to the surface, and suddenly, it didn't just feel like her past standing in her way. It was a whole new battle unfolding right before her. What had started as a pursuit of clarity could shift into something far more complicated. With distractions swirling, would she still find her voice amidst the looming chaos? The sound of shattering glass cut through the air like a knife, and Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. She turned to see the site of the chaos. A cluster of people had gathered around the toppled table, their faces a mixture of shock and concern. A server, wide-eyed and flustered, bent to pick up the shards. "Is anyone hurt?" someone yelled, but everyone seemed to be okay. The moment felt surreal, like a scene from a movie where time slowed to a crawl. James squeezed her hand, grounding her amidst the turmoil. "Can you hold on to this?" he asked, nodding toward her father, who stood frozen, watching the commotion with furrowed brows. Instead of seeking comfort in the chaos, Sarah felt a surge of determination. She wouldn't let this distraction derail her moment. Taking a deep breath, she turned to her father, who still looked older and more beaten down than she remembered. There was vulnerability in his brown eyes, a hint of fear that gripped her heart. "Dad," she said softly, her own voice steady now. "Can we talk?"
His expression shifted, a hint of relief breaking through the worry. "Sure, let's go somewhere quieter."
He gestured toward the back of the hall, where a small patio overlooked the twinkling city lights. With James at her side, they navigated through the crowd, the glittering lights casting a warm hue over everything. As they stepped onto the patio, the hum of the party faded, leaving only the sound of their breaths and the soft rustle of leaves in the gentle evening breeze. Her father leaned against the railing, his gaze fixed on the distant lights. "What's on your mind, Sarah?" Taking another deep breath, she grabbed the moment with both hands. "I need you to listen. I've been carrying a lot of pain because of our past, and it's suffocating. I never felt like I was good enough for you." The words spilled out like a dam finally breaking. She watched as he flinched, guilt washing over his face. "I didn't realize how much I had hurt you. I always thought I was doing the right thing by pushing you," he said, his voice trembling. "I just wanted you to be better than me." Tears welled in her eyes, but she held them back. "I know you wanted the best for me, but what I needed was love, not just pressure to succeed." An uneasy silence fell between them, each grappling with the weight of unspoken words. The air was thick, filled with years of unresolved tension. But Sarah sensed that there was more to her father's story, layers beneath the surface, just waiting to be uncovered. With a determined gaze, she pressed on. "What happened between us shaped who I became, and today I want to release that. I want to understand you too, why you've been so hard on yourself." His shoulders sagged, as if a burden was finally being lifted. "I failed you, Sarah. I thought success was everything, but I see now, I lost myself, and in the process, lost you." As they stood together under the stars, the tension began to crack, a light breaking through the darkness that had enveloped their relationship for so long. Maybe this was the moment she had waited for, the moment to bridge their fractures. Before she could respond, the clatter from earlier reminded them both of the chaos. An uneasy glance was exchanged, and Sarah felt a flicker of almost forgotten hope brightening the space between them. They were here, finally confronting each other, yet the night still had its surprises in store. Just then, the door burst open, and a couple of partygoers, laughing and oblivious, spilled onto the patio. Sarah felt her heart race again. They were not alone anymore, the moment slipping through her fingers. "Stay," she whispered to her father, knowing they had barely scratched the surface. But would they have the courage to continue the conversation, or would the ebb and flow of the party pull them apart once more? The laughter of the newcomers swirled around Sarah like a sudden gust of wind, jarring her from the fragile moment she had crafted with her father. They paused, caught in a shared silence, feeling the weight of unresolved conversations pressing on them both.
It felt so close, yet so far, their chance for connection just out of reach. James squeezed her hand again, a silent reminder of his support, but the comfort felt distant now. Sarah glanced sideways at her father, whose expression mirrored her turmoil. He wore a mask of restraint, as if he were clinging to every thread of resolve he had left. "Let's move away from here," he finally suggested, pushing off the railing with a slow but determined effort. "There's a quieter corner by the fountain." Nodding, Sarah led the way, her heart pounding in anticipation of moving the dialogue deeper. They found a small alcove by the misty fountain, its water glinting under the stars, bringing an ethereal glow to their setting. The sound of water trickling had a calming effect, perfect for what needed to unfold next. "Dad, I need to know why," Sarah said, her voice strong yet infused with a tremor of vulnerability. "Why was it so hard for you to show me love?" His jaw tightened, and he looked down for a moment, as if gathering the courage to dig into the past. "It was never about not loving you," he started, each word heavy with regret. "I just thought if I pushed you hard enough, you'd see how much you could achieve. I thought it was tough love." "Do you understand now how that made me feel?" Her eyes were fixed on him, desperate for understanding. "I felt like I was living in a shadow, always chasing something that wasn't really there." He rubbed the back of his neck, embarrassment color rising in his cheeks. "I was scared. My own father was never around. I didn't know how to be present. I didn't have a model for. It's hard to explain." A wash of empathy flooded Sarah. She didn't want to blame him. "You were trying to protect me in your way, but all I've ever wanted was to feel like I mattered to you." The silence stretched, melding with the sound of the fountain.
It was an exhale after years of tension. Light bulbs bobbed above them, framing their confessions with soft, glimmering light. Then her father spoke, his voice low and earnest. "I can't change the past, but I want to try to be better. I don't want you to remember me just as the harsh one. You deserve so much more than that." Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes again, but this time they were tears of hope. What if we started by letting each other into our lives? No pretenses, just honesty. "Really?" he asked, surprised. "You'd be willing to try that?" She nodded, feeling the gravity of this step towards healing. "What about next time we meet? We could talk about things that matter, the little things, not just the big expectations." His face softened, the lines of worry beginning to fade. "I'd like that. I truly would." Before they could bask in the warmth of the moment, a loud cheer erupted from the party inside, breaking the serene intimacy they had started to build. Sarah's cheeks flushed. "Looks like they're ready to dance," she said with a tentative smile. "Join them,"
he suggested, his eyes lighting up a fraction. Her laughter bubbled over. "Let's not rush. We've just started something important." As they lingered near the fountain, a new understanding hovered in the air. But just then, a voice called from the patio, jolting her. It was her friend Mia, waving excitedly with another group. "Sarah, come on, we need you." The urgency in Mia's voice mixed with her bubbling anticipation. "Go ahead," her father nudged. "Just remember, this isn't over. We'll pick up where we left off." Heart racing, Sarah nodded, but inside she was torn. How could she leave this new connection behind? Yet the night beckoned with laughter and joy. As she joined the party, she glanced back at her father, uncertainty flickering. Could they really build what was broken? Her stomach twisted at the thought, and somewhere deep within she knew this was only the beginning of their journey to mend old wounds. Was she brave enough to confront what lay ahead? The rhythm of the party pulsed louder, but tonight also held whispers of vulnerability. What would their next encounter reveal? Her laughter bubbled over. "Let's not rush. We've just started something important." As they lingered near the fountain, a new understanding hovered in the air. But just then, a voice called from the patio, jolting her. It was her friend Mia, waving excitedly with another group. "Sarah, come on, we need you." The urgency in Mia's voice mixed with her bubbling anticipation. "Go ahead," her father nudged. "Just remember, this isn't over. We'll pick up where we left off." Heart racing, Sarah nodded, but inside she was torn. How could she leave this new connection behind? Yet the night beckoned with laughter and joy. As she joined the party, she glanced back at her father, uncertainty flickering. Could they really build what was broken? Her stomach twisted at the thought, and somewhere deep within she knew this was only the beginning of their journey to mend old wounds. Was she brave enough to confront what lay ahead? The rhythm of the party pulsed louder, but tonight also held whispers of vulnerability. What would their next encounter reveal? As the laughter and music swirled around Sarah, she could still feel the weight of her father's words lingering in the air. The connection they had begun to forge felt fragile but alive. Her heart soared and trembled in equal measure. The dance floor beckoned, and laughter rang like sweet bells, tugging her into the mix of joy. Friends cheered as couples swung into the rhythm, their smiles brightening the dim-lit evening. And yet a whisper at her father's regret hung on her like a shadow. She felt the urge to run back to him, to hold tight to the moment they'd just shared. "Sarah, let loose!" A lively voice, her friend Mia, pulled her into the festivities. The atmosphere buzzed with energy. It was contagious. All around, the celebration pulsed with warmth, friends twirling, little kids giggling as they darted between legs, and twinkling lights casting spells on every joyous face. Despite the earlier moment of tension, Sarah felt lighter, as if the night's missteps had burned away the dense fog in her heart, even if just a little. She stepped into the circle of her friends, grinning as they spun around, pulling her into the rhythm, reminding her of the love that had flooded back since her engagement. Underneath the exchanges of laughter, she could still feel the tremors of change pulsing through her. James appeared at her side, taking her waist, his close presence grounding her in excitement. "There you are," he shouted over the music, a bright smile lighting up his face.
I was looking for you." "Ready to dance?" she asked, her heart swelling with joy as he led her to the center of the dance floor. They moved in sync, drawn together by an invisible thread of joy and commitment. As they swayed to the music, she found herself glancing back at the patio, searching for her father.
She caught sight of him standing alone for a brief moment, watching with a blend of both hope and uncertainty. Instead of turning away, he smiled, a true smile that seemed to echo within her. In that moment, Sarah realized something pivotal. This was not just a wedding day. It was a new beginning, not only for herself, but for their relationship too. She didn't have to carry his past alone. She could share her burdens and let the warmth of a shared experience heal them both. With renewed determination, Sarah focused back on James. His eyes were glowing with pride and joy as he twirled her around. She felt lighter than air. She surrendered herself to the dance, her laughter merging with the music that filled the night, weaving a tapestry of celebration and hope. As the night progressed, they moved between songs, pausing to share moments with friends and revel in each other's warmth. And just as the soft notes of a romantic ballad started dancing through the air, something inside Sarah shifted completely. "James?" she whispered as they stepped closer, heat pooling in her chest. "Yeah?" he nodded, eyes brimming with affection, pulling her closer. "I want to talk to my dad again, in my own way. I want to start fresh, with him and with us." James's brows lifted, a smile creeping across his face, wide and encouraging. "Whenever you're ready," he said, his voice rich with acceptance. With every beat of the drums around them, Sarah felt stronger, a resolve building deep inside her like never before. The night was long, and life would bring its challenges, but they had all the time they needed to explore them together. Later that evening, when the moon hung high, casting silvery light over the gathering, Sarah gathered her friends around, all buzzing in celebration. Among them stood her father, who had seamlessly woven back into the tapestry of the evening. It was beautiful, yet filled with possibility. "Let's make a toast," she declared, raising a glass. Each person turned towards her, their faces lit with anticipation. "To new beginnings," she exclaimed, the vibrant connection with her friends enveloping her in warmth. "To moments we embrace," someone shouted, raising their glass high. "To love, healing, and laughter," someone else crowed, cheers erupting as glasses clinked, the bond of community around her unwavering. In the crowd, her father met her gaze, uncertainty still flickering, but filled with something hopeful. And in that moment, standing within a sea of joy, Sarah felt ready. She wasn't just standing at the threshold of her future. She was stepping firmly into it with love lighting her way. The music swelled, lifting her spirit even higher. She spun around, lost in the warmth of this new light, ready to embrace everything ahead. It was time to face the past, but now it didn't control her. Instead, it would be a stepping stone to the freedom she sought. Her heart exploded with joy, ready to tackle whatever challenges awaited with a spirit that felt renewed. The sky shone above, each star a promise for a brighter tomorrow. Before she knew it, Sarah found herself wrapped once more in James's arms, surrounded by a joy she could feel echo throughout her soul. This was the love she had fought for. This was her moment. And as the music played on, Sarah let the world spin around her, unafraid of what came next. After all, tomorrow was just the beginning. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. We want to hear from you. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. And don't wait not even one more second. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let's spread the love together.